Welcome, fellow dwellers of the forest. We're based on a book, the podcast that picks a title after watching only 5 seconds of its movie trailer. I'm Keri, and when I say the podcast, it's really just me.
I'm Lindsey, and I prefer haunted manor gothic horror.
And I'm Crystal. If I hear a strange noise in the woods, no, I didn't.
If you saw on our socials where we drop our schedule and fun podcast episode and theme trailers, October's theme is spooky. And our first official title of the theme is my pick, which is The Watchers by A.M Shine, and its 2024 movie adaptation starring Dakota Fanning. This one is pretty unique as it is Ashana Night Shyamalan director debut. It's a lot to say. As a full movie, and it is produced by her father, which a lot of people know, M. Night Shyamalan. He may sound very familiar, directed films like Sixth Sense, The Village, Split, and Signs. Are you guys fans of M. Night Shyamalan? Do you guys like a lot of his movies?
I actually do.
I
You do?
enjoyed them.
Okay.
Sixth Sense was huge when I was in high school, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's either like you really like them or you don't. I always hear like there's never an in-between. One of my favorite movies has always been The Village. That one scared me to death.
Mm-hmm.
That one is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
So scary. A little bit about the author. A.M Shine is a literary horror author from west of Ireland, has a master's in history. He graduated from the University of Galway, which is actually where some of the movie was filmed, where they're at the university. He's very into Irish folk horror and gothic horror. The Watchers, specifically, that we're going to be talking about today, is about a woman trapped in an ancient Irish forest, and she stumbles into a shelter with three other strangers where every night unseen creatures watch their every move. Their routine keeps them alive, but breaking that routine could be the end of them. So let's get into our book ratings, starting with Crystal.
Oh no.
Yes.
I wanted this to be good. I love folk tales. I love dark fae stories or of fairies or whatever. This I gave it 1.5 red flags because, I mean, honestly, there were a lot of red flags heading into this forest and she should have turned back. But other than that, it was like the twists were not, they were just so predictable. It was so predictable. I felt like I was being spoon fed the story and I wanted it to be good and it had so much potential and it just didn't hit there for me.
Yeah. What about you, Lindsey?
I feel the exact same way. I really wanted to like this so bad, but I gave it 2.5 golden conures. So, I love some gothic horror, but like I said in my intro, apparently I only like the haunted manor type. I didn't really dig this.
Mm-hmm. Well, apparently we're all on the same page because
Aw.
I gave it 2.5 rules. I thought this was so freaking boring. I was falling asleep as I was reading it, literally
Mhm.
falling asleep. I had to pick up the audiobook because I was falling, like, physically reading it, I was falling asleep. And it's supposed to be like so suspenseful. And honestly, it had a lot of potential, like you said, like the folklore aspect of it and everything. I felt like this was, and I like being like trapped in like a forest and trying to like get out.
Mhm.
Like that is like up my alley. Like I really like that stuff. And like ancient forests where like there's things in here
Right, like some sort of
that
curse
can't
or
be
something.
explained.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is really something that I love to read about. But this one just was not it. Just not very good in my opinion and not very exciting. So, which is really disappointing because I had high hopes for it from that, 5 seconds I watched of that movie trailer.
I mean, I read a bit of the synopsis before we jumped into the book because I was afraid it might be too scary.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw kind of the subject matter, I actually got excited. I was like, "Oh, wait, this could be really good."
Yeah.
And so I legitimately was excited for this one, and then just yeah, it didn't do. And there were parts of the book that I was like, "Oh, this might be interesting." Nope, it's not interesting. Oh, this
Yeah.
could be good. Nope, it's not good. Oh, I should be scared, but I'm not. It
Mm-hmm.
just didn't hit.
There were
Yeah.
lots of plot holes.
Yep.
Like, I knew the twist from, like, literally the very beginning.
Yep.
Even the
Even the
clueless detective knew with a twist.
yeah, that's a
That's a
yeah,
red flag right there.
right?
Yeah, that's when you know it's going downhill. And honestly, it was compared to something that attracted me to it was compared to like Blair Witch Project, Bird Box, like those two things I really enjoy. But just yeah, just not very exciting. But I did have a little bit of higher hopes that maybe the movie adaptation could turn it around for me, just because sometimes when you're reading something that's like
Right.
not as exciting on page, someone can turn it into something that
Or
could
with
be more exciting for your eyes to see on the screen.
or even with a creepy soundtrack or,
Mhm.
like I was kind of hoping that myself too, that the movie would be like have a little bit more suspense to it or a little bit more of a thrill. So
Yeah.
I after reading the book, I was like, well, the story, maybe the potential that was in the story is better on screen, especially with the Night Shyamalans involved in it. Like that could be because the story seems like their vibe, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, like the backbone was there
Yeah.
for sure. But now let's go ahead and get into some spoilers.
Please.
Let's break down the book and the movie, all the spoilers. So, from here on out, we will be talking about all the content, all the twists that are involved. So, if you don't want to hear any of the twists moving forward, pause now, go read the book, or maybe not, watch the movie, come back and come hang out with us, or just listen to it, listen to our episode, and just hear us talk about all the twists and what happened, because it might be a little more exciting. Okay, I would say, starting with just overall vibes of the entire adaptation as a whole, I would say that the movie is somewhat faithful to the book with some exceptions. You know, they take some liberties in the story overall. This is a horror movie, but it is PG-13. It's not rated R. I usually like a horror movie that's rated R personally.
I don't know what content really, like, from the book, I don't see where it could have translated into rated R because there really wasn't much there.
Yeah, there's not a ton of gore. There's not significant amounts of violence.
Mhm.
It's just the suspense really that makes this creepy or is supposed to be creepy. So
Yeah. I would definitely say that this is a much more mild horror, like psychological, I guess.
mhm.
So, what do you guys think about how faithful it was overall to the book and how it was the adaptation in a sense?
For me, I think like some of the smaller changes they made, like in Mina's job or, like Mina being American, it didn't really bother me. It seemed like it didn't really affect the plot at all, in my
Mhm.
opinion. But there was a significant change in the character Madeline
Mhm.
that I noticed just her character in general was different, a little bit more caring and considerate at times during the movie than she was in the book, that I found weird, but I don't weird,
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I
know.
agree.
There was one change that they did for Mina in the very beginning, and I have a theory, but I don't want to say what the theory is because it kind of spoils something at the end.
Okay.
So I'll come back to it once we get to the end. But I have a theory about a change they did with Mina.
Okay. Interesting. So, at the whole setup, very similar in both the book and the movie. We are in Ireland, and it begins with the same prologue, basically, same type of beginning, with a man lost in a forest and having this dread that night is coming, the dark is coming, because that's when the quote, the Watchers come. We don't know what this is, we don't know what this means, but he's running from something. And he's also indicating kind of like he's trying to find a way out because there's other people that are relying on him because of he's trying to find his way out of this forest. Eventually night falls and something snatches him. Honestly, this beginning part immediately draws me into the book. Personally, I feel like it's like super effective of I'm like, what the hell is going on? I immediately want to know more about the story. And honestly, at this point I was like, okay, this I have high hopes at this point. What do you guys think? Were you guys feeling the same exact way?
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is this, because again, that suspense was translating better on screen at this point, and I was like, okay, here we go, here we go.
Mhm. Yeah. Lindsay, you said you feel the same?
Yeah, even in the book, when I read the prologue, I was like, "Oh, this is really interesting." And then as soon as I got to chapter 1, I was completely lost. I was like, "Wait a minute."
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, so we jump to a different character who is our main character of the entire story, who is Mina, played by Dakota Fanning in the movie. Mina is an artist. She is also like kind of financially struggling. She is very isolated in her life from her sister after her mother's death. She's very much to herself, sells her art to make ends meet, and like does other little odds and end type things. In the movie, she works like at a pet shop, also shows her going out at night dressing as a different person just to pretend to be someone else for a day, which I thought was kind of interesting. But
Well, in
go
the
ahead.
book, she's like, she sees herself in the mirror and she draws herself, and she doesn't like who she is, or she
Mhm.
doesn't like what she sees. But we don't really get to see that side of the artist side of Mina in the beginning of the movie. And so I think that's what that whole like being someone else was supposed to represent, that like
Mhm.
she's not comfortable as herself. She doesn't like herself. She
Yeah.
wants to be someone else. But I think it was kind of important in the book. This is when I felt like I started to be spoon fed in the book, was her talking about what she sees in other people's faces and what she sees in her face and what she
Mhm.
doesn't, you know. And this is when I went, oh, okay. I
Mhm.
started spotting things like instant in this part, and then got really bored because,
Mhm.
again, I was being spoon fed.
Yeah, I do like how Dakota Fanning played this character. I enjoyed her acting as Mina, and I don't know, I kind of felt more connected to Mina in the movie than I did in the book.
Yeah, I can agree.
Yeah, I can see that. I also like how she talked to the bird
Mhm.
in the movie. Like, we see, like, she talks about the bird in the book, kind of, because we're in her perspective, but in the movie she just spoke to the bird, and I really kind of liked that. It
Yeah,
seems dumb, but
like the bird is a person. She eventually Mina accepts a job to transport a parrot, which this essentially drives the story where it leads her to the forest that we were at in the very beginning, where her GPS takes her there. And And whenever she gets to the forest, her GPS completely shuts down, her car shuts down, radio shuts off, and she's stuck in the middle of this forest. And honestly, whenever she has in the movie with her GPS taking her, it literally has her in the middle of the forest to the point that it almost looks like a walking path. And I'm like, honestly, if my GPS was taking me in this way, I'm like, where is the alternate route? Like, I'm not going this way.
No. Mm-mm.
Absolutely not. In the book, she actually spends a night in the car and she hears a screech in the forest, but she's like safe in the car because she's not technically in the forest yet, but she's like on a path next to the forest.
Well, she also hides under her jacket or something in the back
Yeah.
seat with the bird, so she's not completely visible. I don't know if that also maybe affected
Right.
it.
Yeah. And then the next day, she goes looking for help with her parrot. Her parrot is like her companion throughout this entire book.
I liked
In
in the
the
book she
story.
called him the yellow one.
Yeah, I really liked that. But
That's
then
what we call Little.
Mhm.
Aw.
That's cute.
I don't hate in the movie that she named him, but I just kind of was like, why didn't she just stick with the
Yeah, she
yellow
names him
one? It
like
was cute.
Darwin.
Darwin. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the movie, she immediately gets out of the car, like the second it shuts down, to go look for help with her parrot. But then in the forest, it's getting dark. And in the movie, it's much more dramatic. Whenever it's getting dark, all the animals are, you're not hearing any animals, a flock of birds flying over and out of the forest every single night the second it starts getting like a certain time, right
Mhm.
before it's dark. And that's like the indication that something is about to be coming through this forest that you don't want to be around. And in the forest that night with her bird, she is chased by something that she can't see and runs into a random house with people in it. And the person at the door is like, "You have 5 seconds to get in this house or I'm shutting it." And so she gets into that house, and we are introduced to new characters, which are Madeline, Kira, and Daniel. And we find out that Kira is actually the wife of the man that was in the prologue in the very
Mhm.
beginning. So in the movie, this first encounter, which I think is the pretty big difference between the book and the movie, their first encounter is where Madeline, which appears to be the main person in this house, like the main person in charge at this house, pulls Mina into what appears to be their nightly routine. The building that they're in, which we eventually learn is known as the Coop, has a mirrored window, and they all have to present themselves to what they call the Watchers. And Madeline, in the movie, Madeline indicates that they're almost happy. These Watchers are happy to see them, or just happy to see her and this new person. And in the movie, the camera pans out, and we hear applause as the camera is panning out, which is not in the movie, or not in the book, I'm sorry.
It was kind of creepy, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I actually like this added touch in the movie. Like,
Mm.
you're thinking, what the hell is going on?
And then them watching the reality show inside where they are the reality show for the Watchers.
Yeah.
It was very, I don't know, it was really like, oh, just that layer of creep that was kind of missing from the book, making it like you're the reality show. I really liked that.
Yeah. In the book, Madeline is just like the first encounter, she's just explaining that you must stay inside at night. The glass is more like a window, just too dark to see out of. And she's just saying they like to watch. There's not a lot of rules regarding how they watch.
Mhm.
Like in the movie, they're saying like you have to like
Never turn your
use,
back on the
yeah,
glass.
and they kind of like do things to entertain them. But they have to stay awake at night or the Watchers attack the glass. And they attack the glass a lot. They're not applauding for this newcomer here, but the way that that's done, it's like, okay, what are these things outside? Are they human? Are they creatures? Like, what
Mhm.
is going on?
I
This is
hated that
where
aspect of the movie, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
really
you didn't like it?
I
Like, as
hated it
in
so much.
oh my gosh. Okay, why? Why?
Well, I I don't know, just when Kira's like, "Oh, they like it when I dance," and I was like, "Boo, this is dumb."
Oh my gosh, that's so
this
funny.
this is the part though where like right away Madeline is very different cuz like in the book she's like get in here, I'm going to close the door. Mina gets in and then she's like we're not going to have enough water now that you're here. You're just another mouth to feed and stand in front of the glass girl and what's your name? And she's very like almost mad that she's there.
Yep.
But in the movie, she's like, she's not necessarily happy and excited or welcoming by any means, but she goes, I know you're scared now, but you're going to be okay. Like Madeline in the book would have never said that.
Mhm.
Madeline in the book would have been like, I know you're scared, get over it. Like, we have to
And she's
survive.
yeah, she's very, like, straight face, like, doesn't really show any emotion in the book because she's like, "This is just how it's done."
She's like given up hope, and at this point, it is literally just survive day to day,
Mhm. Yeah.
and there's no joy, there's no fun, there's just duty,
Mhm.
just what we have to do.
Yeah. And that first night, something I really wish was in the movie was whenever, Mina doesn't really believe what they're saying. She's like, "What are you guys talking about? Like, people watching us in here and we have to stay in here? Like, why can't I go?" Even though she did hear something chasing her and like the screeching outside. And Madeline's like, "Well, go look. Go look out the window." And, Mina goes up to the window all the way to the front of it, and something screeches in her face at the window. And she can't really tell or describe what it was, but it was just something yelling in her face. That was scary to me.
I liked that part, yeah.
Yeah. That was honestly the only scary thing in this whole thing to me, in my opinion. That really freaked me out. That was like a jump scare in a book, which was cool. I like that. But like you said, characters are very different. Even Kira is kind of different in the movie versus the book. The book, when we first encounter her, she's kind of like going through some crap right now because she's dealing with her husband being gone. Like
Mhm.
she's like laying under a blanket and doesn't want to speak to anybody in the book. And in the movie, she's just like, "Yeah, my husband's, like, out, and he's coming back soon," kinda thing.
Right.
And he's been gone for days. And everyone's like, "Yeah, he's not coming back. He ain't coming back anytime soon."
No.
And also, like, Madeline has specific rules, and I think it's done in the movie this way to make it much more dramatic and more memorable. Like, there's rules kind of explained in the book, but they're not, like, exact rules, like, these are the rules, and it's, "Do not turn your back to the mirror. Do not open the door after dark. Stay in the light, and do not go near the burrows." And the burrows are just where the Watchers apparently go during the day. But and also they kept saying, "Do not turn your back to the mirror." They were doing that all the time,
All the
The
time.
whole time. They were
and
sleeping
nobody
at
did
night,
nothing.
rolled over with their back. Yeah.
Yeah. But once Mina's initial shock wears off after a few days, Madeline is like, "You need to do your share of work around here." Madeline, like I said, Madeline is the one in charge. She's been here for 2 years, and the others have been here for like 5 to 8 months or something. But they all have their jobs. Some are better at them than others. You can tell that Mina just isn't down with what's happening here. She doesn't want to just give up and not fight to try to get out of here. And she's also always trying to push on the rules that Madeline gave her. In the movie, this is really shown in a scene where Mina completely goes against one of Madeline's rules by going to one of the Watchers' burrows during the day. Like I said, in the forest, there are burrows underground where the Watchers are assumed to be hiding in during the day, and she steals something from the burrows that night or during the day. And that night, the Watchers are extremely violent, proving that you need to follow Madeline's rules. They even use John, the guy from the prologue, and Kira's husband as bait. They use him as bait in the book as well, but Mina never goes to the burrows to like make them upset in the book.
Right.
I personally like this addition in the movie because I feel like we get to know Mina's character more. I think personally, I felt she was very bland in the book.
Yeah.
Like I think we get to see her problem solving and trying to, like, especially associating with her past. Like we see a little bit of her past of associating with her sister and her mom and how that is related to how she does her decision making now. And I like that more in the movie than I did in the book. And I feel like that builds her character more.
I like in the book she talks about how she's kind of almost distrusting of people and what they hide, and she can always tell what they're hiding. She can always see it in their face because she's this artist, because she really looks at people and sees more than what they probably want people to see. And she talks about like drawing their faces and the sadness they hide or the anger they hide or whatever. Yeah, I liked that in the book, but also she really sucked at something that she said she was really good at. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
It just made me mad. I was like, oh, like if I can tell, I'm not even looking at these people, Mina, and I can tell what's going on. So try again.
Well, like you were saying, she immediately doesn't trust Madeline. She can tell Madeline is in charge. She doesn't trust her rules, how she's governing everyone, and she does try to kind of rebel. And I feel like in the movie, they really exaggerated that with her going down into the burrows.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Mina in the book would have been smart enough to not do that because that's just dumb.
Right.
But they had to make it dramatic in the movie.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. I think she was testing whether Madeline was telling the truth. Like, is this person just like making these up and keeping us here for no reason? Or is
Right.
this like legitimately we have to be following these rules? And then she tested it and she fuck around and find out. That's what happened, basically.
Pretty much.
So now at this point, she's been there for a bit. Winter came. Winter is coming. And tensions are escalating between these characters, especially after the incident with Kira's husband because they didn't let him in because they're like, he's being used as bait. You can't let him in. Daniel, who is very close with Kira, like brother and sister, they become very close, steals Madeline's keys because they're just fed up with Madeline and attempts to lock out Mina and Madeline. In the movie, during this moment, this is the first time we actually see with our eyes what the Watchers look like. Which in the book, we never get a visual on what the Watchers look like. We never get a good description of what their true form is.
Right.
In the movie, we see these giant creatures in the forest. And to me, scary. Creepy. I don't like them. Very creepy.
I don't want to say the names, but I'm picturing S
Yes.
walkers.
Yep.
Was my first thought.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Very creepy, very scary. But Daniel eventually lets them in. And like I said, in the book, we're just like hearing about them. We're just hearing we're hearing that they're screaming. We're hearing that they're running after them. We're never getting a description of what they look like. But Daniel eventually lets them in, and Madeline reveals something significant about the Watchers. They take on forms of people you know, hence why they are called Watchers, like they like to watch you and stuff. We get more backstory on the Irish folklore, a little bit of the Watchers being related to, changeling fairies and Irish fae. Changelings are fairies who kidnap human children and leave their offspring in their place. And the story is doing like a twist on this where the Watchers imitate humans. This is revealed at a different time in the book, and I believe it's only revealed to Mina. It's not revealed to all the characters.
Right.
But at this point in the movie, Madeline tells everybody what's up with the Watchers. And the Watchers right now are angry because they know like someone was out and they didn't get to them. And so the Watchers are angry. Things escalate to the point of them almost breaking into the coop that they're in. And they move a table to block the door and reveal that there's a cellar below the coop. So they go under the coop, and in this entire cellar is a bunch of supplies and also footage from a person known as Professor Rory Kilmartin, I
Yes.
believe it is, who used to live there and basically created this entire building and was studying these creatures.
Here was one of my biggest pet peeves.
Mm-hmm.
How'd they get a giant metal container in the woods without any machinery?
Yep.
And then how did they build a concrete structure on top of it without any machinery?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll get to my next one a little later.
I know, like literally though, like this is
because even in the movie, he's like, some men from the village nearby or whatever. Okay, but they still had to drive there. Their cars still would have broke down at a certain point. They would have had to haul all that equipment in by hand and then still be able to have enough time before dark to get some work done.
Yeah.
I don't
Imagine
think
trying
so.
to get work done with these things running around. I mean,
you're telling me there's a town nearby? I don't believe that for a minute.
Yeah. And down there, he has like a bunch of footage of like basically video diaries of his experience and what he was studying. And in the footage, he reveals a way they can escape and says his dying wish is for someone to destroy all the evidence he has on this entire place because he doesn't want anybody to come here. And all the evidence is at the university that he was at.
So the last video log that he made
shows
him dying. Who stopped the recording?
I was thinking the same thing.
And who renamed the video file?
Yep. who hit save at the end?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I'm telling you.
I don't know.
I seriously was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, wait a minute.
And then where's his body? Where's the gun?
Right?
He didn't drop it in the cellar.
I lost my earring. My little ghosty earring just fell out.
Ghost gave up, ran away.
They gave up the ghost.
Yep. It said enough of this.
Get me out of here.
So after they hear about this escape route, they all decide to take on that idea. Madeline is kind of like very standoffish about all these reveals. And she's just like, I don't know about all this. And she's just kind of standing off to the side and she's like, we shouldn't be doing this. Or she is questioning everything about this escape plan.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of not so much in the movie, but a lot in the book. I don't think she really questions anything.
But then at the book, Madeline's just like, we'll leave in the morning. Like at some point, she just randomly decides, okay, we're leaving in the morning.
Yep. So the plan is to get to this boat during the daytime and row their way out of here on this river because the assumption is that they can leave the forest or the Watchers can't leave the forest. It's very like Bird Box right now. It's reminding me of Bird Box.
Very much.
So they have to escape during the daytime and they make their way to this boat. It feels very dramatic in the movie. In the book, something that really irked my nerves is her not having shoes. Where are your shoes?
Yeah.
You couldn't go find some shoes real quick?
You couldn't use something for shoes?
We couldn't delay the trip for one day until the girl had some shoes?
I'm telling you.
That
I mean,
that was
especially,
crazy.
I don't understand why they decided to leave the next day, right? You found
Yeah.
this bunker, you have all this food, you're safe because you've got the lock or whatever on
Mhm.
the thing. Stay down there for at least a couple of days.
Yeah.
Get good and fed, build up some strength. Maybe find something you can fashion into some footwear, then go. But they were all like, nope, we're out.
Yeah. Also, something that drove me so crazy in the book was that in the movie, so she actually has this bird, the bird is still here,
The bird is
alive and
still here.
well. And I don't know what they're feeding it, but it's alive and well. And it's in a cage, and she's carrying this little cage around all the time. This poor bird in this tiny little cage. And then one day, she, whenever they leave in the movie, she lets it out. And it kind of like guides them to the river. And in the book, she will not let this bird out of this cage as they're running.
I assumed its wings were clipped and it couldn't fly.
Right?
Yeah, that's the only reason. But I think somebody had told her to do it, to
He
let
said to follow
the
the
bird out.
birds. He said follow the birds in his last log when he was saying where the boat was.
Yeah.
That was in the movie, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because there weren't birds in the book. The birds wouldn't even come down to the ground. They stayed above the tree line in the book.
Exactly. So in the movie, he was all like, follow the birds. And he, I'm certain, meant the birds that every evening leave really freaking fast.
Yeah,
But
that's
she
what I
was
was.
all like, I'm going to let the yellow one guide us. Like, that bird doesn't know where the hell it's at. It's not
Well,
like,
apparently did.
I was so, like, when I saw that in the movie, I was like, no, that is not how birds work.
They also had a compass in the book, and they didn't have one in the movie.
Yeah.
Because they
So
were
I'm like,
following the birds.
yeah.
Don't need one if you got a bird.
Yeah, you don't need a compass, you got a bird.
Like the outside birds, yes, they're gonna go to the same like roosting point every day or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this bird that's been in this cage, that is in no way whatsoever native to this area, it has no. It's a golden conure. It has no idea where it's going.
It just goes in circles.
I'm telling you, I was really waiting for them to end up back at the coop.
Flies into a tree.
Yep.
Or just get snatched out of the air by.
Oh my god, that'd be horrible.
I don't want to kill it.
Well, no, not dead, just maybe yeeted or something. I don't know.
So the only reason I went from a 2 to a 2.5 is because of this one scene. I was like, someone needs to die. Someone needs to die in here. I need some entertainment. I need somebody to freaking die. And it was Daniel. Poor Daniel.
Poor Daniel.
Poor guy. But I really liked the scene where, they're like, all right, we're at the boat. Everybody get in the boat. We're trying to get into the water. And they're looking around and like, wait a second, we're missing a person. And this actually really hurt my heart because in the movie, we're not getting this family bond that they all had.
Right.
In the book, it was like very much like we're a family, like we're gonna get through this, and we're gonna make it out of here. And so they had a very close bond at the end. Even like Madeline a little bit, yeah.
She took on like almost a motherly role,
Yeah, like
protect her.
They made it like against her will. They're like, you're gonna be part of this family,
right?
And so they're like, we're missing a person, and Daniel's not here. And Mina looks up and further away sees that Daniel had gone back for I'm missing John, who I guess was like laying down hurt, and he wasn't registering that was one of the Watchers that were disguising themselves as John, and he was just thinking of Kira and trying to get John to Kira, and the Watchers kill him. And that whole scene, how it played out in the book, I thought was so good. I really liked that part.
It was a good moment.
Yeah. And
a very
it's
sad
also
moment, but well
it's
written.
also in the movie, but I just thought it was much better in the book. I really liked that one.
I also just really didn't like Daniel in the movie.
Yeah, no.
Me neither. He was so sweet and so kind in the book. Like this guy kind of seemed like just like
he was a douche.
Yeah, like a dumb little douchebag.
Yep.
But they eventually make it out of the forest and back to civilization.
This was another part that I was like, wait a minute. What? At no point did they come up with a plan for what story they would tell people.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been gone for months,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just going to walk back into your life and not have some sort of plan for what to tell people.
Here was
Especially,
the main point, though. They were not going to tell them the truth.
right. They were not going to tell the truth because they didn't want anybody to go back there. But here's Kira. She's been in the woods for like 5 or 6 months at this point. She is not going home with her husband. So she's going to have to explain why and how her husband died or disappeared at the very least. And somehow she goes home and still has a home to go to. If I was gone that long, my lights would be shut off. My bills would be piled at the door. If they didn't repo or like I'm renting, so they didn't evict me while I was gone. Like what? How did she still have a place? Same with Mina. She just goes back to her apartment and unlocks the door and goes inside. Like nobody, you didn't get evicted. You didn't get your electricity shut off or your gas shut off. Everything's just normal. That pissed me off in the book and the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of ridiculous. Mina, so they get back. Immediately, Mina's on a mission to go to this university to destroy the professor's findings and all the information about the location of the forest and the folklore behind it, about the changelings and everything. During that process, which is crazy because like they just went through like hell and back, and she's like, I gotta go do this thing really quick. But she finds something crazy in his office. The
What was it,
professor.
Keri?
The professor has a picture with Madeline. And it's revealed his wife.
Dun dun dun.
And she's dead.
Dun dun dun.
I'm so proud to say I knew this was coming. I'm so proud.
I'm proud of you too. But
I was
honestly,
like,
if you hadn't figured it out, I would have been like, girl, you've learned nothing this year. We've been doing this for a year now, and you still can't figure it out when it's handed to you.
I know.
But I'm proud of you. You did it.
I did it. I'm so proud. So the Madeline that's been with them is one of them, a watcher, a fae, a fairy. But
She was
she's
a
a little
fairy.
different. She was a fairy.
Worst
But she's a
fairy
little different.
ever.
She's a little different. These fairies are scary. She can leave the forest. Why can she leave the forest? Why is she hanging out with everyone during the day?
Daywalker.
When Mina goes to tell Kira about this, we get a much more dramatic scene in the movie where Madeline is impersonating Kira and impersonating other people, and they fight each other. In the book, it's not a lot of fighting, more reasoning with Madeline, because it's revealed that Madeline is actually fling, half human, half fairy, and that's why she was able to leave.
And she didn't want to stay there either. Like, she's glad to be gone from them.
Yeah.
But why was she so worried about her secret getting out? Like, they weren't even going to tell the truth for their stories. But also, who was going to believe them anyway?
Yeah.
I don't think Madeline ever would have trusted anyone. That's it. You know? And she was probably afraid to get caged up, locked up, tested and worked on or whatever, you know?
All she'd have to do is change her face and then they can't find her.
Get out of there.
Change your name, change your face. I don't know.
Because it was shown before, whenever we saw the professor's like video logs, that he had a watcher like trapped with him, that he was like, you know, we would assume doing some type of testing on or something like that.
Right.
And I assume that that's how Madeline.
Yeah, we're kind of led
Madeline.
to believe that.
Yeah. I did enjoy in the movie the part where Mina's like, you're a halfling. And she's having these I'm sorry. Immediately I was like, you're all wizard.
Yep.
Anyways, in the movie, I really enjoyed the part where it was like flashing to these parts of her being human, like her having feelings and protecting them at different points throughout like their journey. And she's like, you have human emotion, so you're like half human kind of thing. I don't remember this in the book, but then Madeline gets wings and flies away.
Yeah. That's weird.
That didn't happen in the book, right?
No.
Okay. I was like, did that happen in the book?
She literally walked out the door and left.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure she just left.
Yep.
So in the movie, she pops out some wings and flies away, going off. But then, like, we're shown her in different forms in the future, checking in on Mina every once in a while. The book ends in a little bit of a cliffhanger where, after reasoning with Madeline, after Mina talks to Madeline about everything, Madeline comes back in a different form, saying that there are more of her and that they're everywhere.
Well, because now Mina's spotting them.
Yeah.
And she's like better at recognizing the subtle inaccuracies in people's faces or whatever.
Yeah.
And the one that she saw like in the beginning of the book but didn't know what it was in the beginning of the book, I was like, oh, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a second book called Stay in the Light. I will not be reading it, but there is a second book. Just letting everyone know. But your final verdict, you had to choose book or movie. Which one would you pick?
I would say movie because you can get it over faster.
I would say neither.
I would say neither.
Neither. But if you had to choose, so
yeah.
If I can choose neither, then
yeah, I would say neither. I just did not enjoy this. I'm not gonna lie. I did not like. It honestly had really great potential.
So much potential
with story and everything, but I just didn't like this.
Mm-mm.
Unfortunately, I did not. But let's go into our question of the episode. If the Watchers were spying on you, what's the strangest part of your daily routine they would catch? Let's start with Lindsay. I want to know.
Probably when I stare off into nothing and contemplate life. Just lost in thought. It's fun.
They're like, girl, this girl's boring.
I love your answer because it's so similar to mine. Mine is how many times I walk into a room, stop, completely lose whatever thought was in my brain, look around for a second, walk back out, then remember, and then go back and then do it all over again.
It's like when your sim is doing when your sim's on auto when it walks into the room and you're like, no, don't do that. It's like, how did I get here?
Yep.
They're throwing their hands up in the air to you, like in the sky.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. They would probably be like, this is the easiest. I got the easy one.
I don't know.
Mimic. The easy one
I don't
to
know
mimic.
The like complete brain dead face of me when I walk into the room and I'm like, wait, what? Why am I here? And then when I go back and I get that aha because something triggered the memory, and then I go back to the room and forget instantly. There's something about going through a doorway that I swear steals my memory.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
What about you, Keri?
Mine would have to be either my skincare routine, like I got like my 80 step skincare routine. They'd be like, what is going on with this? This is too much. This is way too much. Or it would be, I have this obsession with smelling good. I have to smell good. Like I have like body oil, body lotion, perfume. And I like do it like more than once a day to smell good, like refresh the smell. Because I just want to smell like really good all the time. And they would be like, this is too much. This is high maintenance and it's too much.
We're going back to the two girls that just sit and stare.
Yeah, we like them better. Easier. Much easier. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that wraps it up for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed us talking about The Watchers and the start to our adaptation selections for Spooky Month. If you read and or watched along with us, head to our socials and let us know how you liked the book or the movie. We would love to know how you felt about this adaptation because we really want to know. Also, if you love audiobooks like us and have yet to make the switch to Libro FM, check out our link in the description to sign up today and support your local bookstore. Until next time, just know I most likely won't learn my lesson and still won't read the synopsis before I select my next book because it's becoming way too much fun this way. We will see you in the next chapter of Based on a Book. Bye.
Bye.